All right, so there are 3 major rules when it comes to counting in PvP, and you have to remember these or you will fail. So rule number 1 is fairly simple. PvP is not in real time. It gives the illusion of real time. However, it is turn-based, and I don't mean you go, I go, you go, I go. I mean we go together. It's like there's an invisible referee at the start of the battle that says, okay, a bomb snow, what do you want to do? Okay, that's fine. Great. Okay. Hypno, what do you want to do? Okay, that's fine. That is rule number 1. Each battle, every single battle, is just turn-based. It's just a series of turns where each opponent decides what they want to do with their Pokemon. Now, how long do these turns last? And the answer is half of a second. So, if you have a battle that lasts 3 minutes, that's a whole lot of turns, all right? So each turn is half of a second. Now you're going to say, Lars, what do you mean? Like, have you seen some of the fast moves? Like Talonflame takes forever. It takes a lot longer than a second, or half a second even. And the answer is yes, absolutely, you're absolutely right. And that is because there are 5 major categories or groups where each of the fast turns can fit in. And it's all based on their fast move speed. So some fast moves take half a second. So they, in the entire duration of the turn, they can get a fast move off and the damage will register, meaning the animation doesn't take long at all. All right? Category 2, you have the moves that take 1 second. So that means during the first turn, there's animation. The second turn, damage and everything registers. Group 3 is 1.5 seconds, which means that it takes 2 turns for it to register. 2 turns for the animation, and then the last turn it registers. As you probably guessed, Group 4 takes 2 seconds, so that means the first 3 turns, animation, and then damage. And finally, and it's a lonesome Incinerate over in Group 5 at a whopping 2.5 seconds. So that means it takes 4 turns for the animation. And then finally, boom, the damage is shown. Now, it's really hard to kind of make parallels, but something that I like to use is kind of like a lot of these, like, I guess you would call them like medieval RPGs, a lot of the Soulsborne stuff. You have a dagger that, you use the dagger, it's quick. Then the next level would be like a short sword. And in the next level, like a broadsword. And then Group 4 would be like a battle axe. And Group 5 would be like a colossal, like a big old 2-handed sword, right? This is number 3, rule number 3. The damage doesn't register until that last turn. So just like when I was talking about, if you have a big old 2-handed sword and you're going to swing it, it's not going to hit the person on that first turn. It's going to wait until you do the whole swing and then boom, right? So same thing applies here. It will not apply at the start, and so many people make this mistake. Remember, you have to do the animation first, and then the damage and all that stuff registers. That is so important because so many people screw up their count because they forget not to count at the start, okay? You need to count once that damage registers, and it will make everything much more accurate. All right, so I wanted to go ahead and show you guys some actual footage. The green X's are the attack when it starts, and the red is the very last turn for damage when the damage applies. So with the Bombasnow, you're going to see it's attack, damage, attack, damage, attack, damage. Next up is Bastiodon from group number 3. He has 1.5 seconds for every attack, so it's attack, continued animation, and then damage. Attack, continued animation, damage. Of course, with Volt Switch, it is a group 4, so it's attack, continued animation, and then finally damage. And then finally, it's Incinerate, which is the longest at 2.5 seconds, attack, and then you have 3 additional frames followed by the final damage 4th frame. And here is an actual chart just with everything compiled together. As you can see, for example, with Incinerate, which is at 2.5 seconds or 5 turns, you can fit 5 Dragon Breaths from Group 1 into 1 Incinerate. So for every 5 Dragon Breaths, there can be 1 Incinerate that gets off. So use this chart if you need to. It's just helpful Like I said, the green X is when the attack starts, red diamond is when everything registers, and then green X again, the attack begins anew. All right, everyone. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about energy gains. Now, there are a few different sites or resources you can use. Pokegenie is one as well, PvPoke. There's also a website called Pokemoves.com, and it is a great resource as well. So any of those three will do just fine. Now let's go ahead, dive in, and let's do it. All right, everyone, time to talk about that energy. And most important thing, like I said earlier, I'm using Pokegenie. You can use whatever you would like to use, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at that fast move. And that fast move is Smackdown for Bastiodon. Now, there's going to be a few different acronyms, some numbers, whatever. The only thing that you need to worry about is energy, okay? So, energy for Smackdown is 8. So what does that mean, Lars? That means that every time Bastiodon completes a fast attack, and remember, Smackdown is a category 3 fast attack, which means it takes 3 turns, and so every second and a half, Bastiodon will get an attack off. So that means every time he gets an attack off, he is earning 8 energy. So we go ahead and we say, okay, 8 energy for every attack. Now, let's look at the energy cost at the bottom. And there's those moves listed. He has 3 listed. We use Stone Edge and Flamethrower, and they both have an energy cost of 55. And I guess you could think of it like every time Bastiodon uses an attack, he gets paid $8, right? $8, $8, $8. And then when he has enough and he wants to buy an attack or use it, he goes, okay, here's the money. So you lose however much energy in order to do the attack, that charged attack. So for Bastiodon, if he's getting 8 energy every single time he uses an attack, that means he's going to need to attack 7 times before he can use that charged attack, because 8 times 7 is 56, and since the charged amount is 55, we will have enough to use that charged attack and 1 energy left over. Now, sometimes it'll be like a half, so the duration, you might need like 10 attacks the first time to use it. And the second time you need 9, third time 10, and it could alternate. Bastiodon, it stays at 7 unless you get way, way, way down the line. But for the most part, you're just going to need 7 attacks per charged. All right, now let's talk about the moment you guys have all been waiting for, quick switching, aka catching. Now, you've learned everything from before, and now it's time to apply it. It's honestly not that bad. So we know Talonflame. Looking at the chart, 3 attacks, and then they'll throw it. Right as they throw it, boom, switch out. Next one, Abomasnow. Abomasnow is easy. Each attack is 1 second, so they need 5 attacks. On that 5th attack right at the end, boom, switch. So here I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to show you exactly when to switch. And I really like using Talonflame because it makes it a lot easier because it has such a long fast animation. So I really slowed it down, and you're going to notice now, you see I build it up and I now have that charge energy. Now you need to switch as soon as that charge energy is built up. So if you remember that diagram from before, it needs to be, you need to switch if you want a quick switch after they get that energy, but before they take their next turn, because that charged move counts as a turn. So this site is relatively unknown, but it's super helpful because it actually just shows each Pokemon and how many fast moves it takes to get that charged off. And it has it all listed up to 4. And yeah, it has each Pokemon. Great resource. Just wanted to post it here. It is Pokemoves.com. All right, everyone, let's talk about CMP ties, which stands for Charge Move Priority. And what does that mean? It means that, as I was saying earlier, every single move in Pokemon Go can be broken down into half-second turns. And during that half-second turn, if you have enough energy, you can use a charge attack. So that means that you and your opponent both click the charge button at the same time. So who goes first? Well, the Pokemon with the higher attack goes first. If it is a mirror match, then the Pokemon with the highest IV goes first. And so that's how that works. Now, why is this important? Well, it doesn't really matter for Pokemon with like half a second, which is 1 turn fast moves, or 1 second, which is 2 turn fast moves. But when you get to like 3, 4, and especially 5, it does matter. So let's say your opponent is using a charged attack for that turn. Now, what you get to do is you get to sneak a fast move in. So they say charge attack, you say, if you're not using a charge attack when they are, you get a fast move. Before, this was random and it kind of depended on a few variables. Now everybody gets a freebie, so a free fast move in. With Talonflame, what you don't want to have happen is they to use a fast move or just be in the start of the animation, and then you use your charge move and they get a freebie in. So you don't want them to essentially get 2 fast moves back to back, because remember, everybody gets a freebie. Everybody gets a free fast move. And for 1 turn and 2 turn fast moves, the energy generation is really low. But for Talonflame, it is insane. It is a huge chunk of energy that they accrue or that they gain during that time. So it's important to try to time it correctly. Talonflame is easier to time because it has really, really slow fast moves. So that's why it's important, because you don't want to give your opponent any free energy. And I see this happen all the time. And people do it and they do it and they do it. But you need to make sure or try to get it at the same time. Well, everybody, that is it. That is the end of my video. So I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you were able to learn. And if there's any questions or comments you might have, please feel free to let me know. Thanks again and have a great day.